Hey everyone, this video is an overview of the passive perks in Deep Rock Galactic. When unlocking new perks in Deep Rock, the only information surrounding the perks in-game are tooltips with limited descriptions. And, as it stands, there is no way to reset perk points spent in-game, so I wanted to put something out there that gives a little bit more context to what you are unlocking. The objective of this guide is to provide further information on what all the perks do, illustrate gameplay with the perks, and talk about situations where they excel. Brief disclaimer: Deep Rock Galactic is subject to constant changes and updates. This guide is relevant through the final patch going into launch. If there are changes that cause differences between the video and what you see in-game, I will note them in the description below. Once you've unlocked both new passive perk slots on the perk tree, you'll be able to equip up to 3 passive perks on any class. All of the passive perks in the game persist from the start of a mission until the end, and are either always on or require a condition to be met before they take effect. Some perks at max rank get additional passive effects compared to their earlier ranks. For this discussion, all perks are at max rank unless otherwise noted. In alphabetical order, we start with Born Ready. Any unequipped weapon or tool reloads after 5 seconds of being put away. There is an audio cue for this effect, and your dwarf will often make a comment to emphasize that the reload has happened. All tools and weapons are on separate timers for this effect. Re-equipping and unequipping a weapon during the timer will reset the passive. This process happens as soon as the weapon is not in hand, meaning that you can have the effect happen to a currently equipped weapon while doing something, like looking at the terrain scanner or continuously mining. This does not have an effect for guns like the EPC or minigun that cannot normally be reloaded. This perk can be helpful on loadouts with many separate weapons to reload, or classes that have weapons with long reload animations. Next, we have Deep Pockets. This increases your maximum carrying capacity of minerals by 15. Each mineral pouch is increased by this amount. Nothing fancy here, but this perk can be helpful by cutting out trips back and forth to deposit minerals into the mule or minehead. This can either save you a good amount of time, or effectively extend the range of how far you can move away from where you deposit. It is particularly useful on missions with modifiers where you have an abundance of minerals, such as Gold Rush or Mineral Mania. Elemental Insulation. 30% damage reduction from elemental effects, specifically poison, radiation, electric, fire, and frost damage. 3 types of damage that it does not mitigate are melee, kinetic, and explosive damage. Most enemies in the game deal a type of damage that is not mitigated by elemental insulation, or a damage that is only partially affected. An example of partial mitigation could be an acid spitter. The initial shot deals kinetic damage, but it also has a lingering poison effect. The damage from the poison would be reduced by elemental insulation. While only slightly effective against enemies, this perk helps minimize the danger presented by hazardous cave layouts. Most damage dealt by obstacles found within caves is mitigated by elemental insulation, meaning the perk may see some good use in treacherous regions like magma core or fungus bogs. Next, we have Friendly. This reduces the damage you take from your teammates and the damage you deal to them by half. This mitigation does not stack if multiple people are using it, and it does not lower self-inflicted damage. Friendly fire does more damage to you and your team as hazard levels scale up. Friendly can be helpful while learning the game to prevent accidental team kills or to stop a friend from griefing you. It can also be used when bringing high damage explosives into a close quarter fight. If the driller's satchel charge or the engineer's grenade launcher are causing too much team damage, consider taking this perk for a while. It's a bug thing.
Nice.
Resupplier. When you resupply, you gain extra health and reload all weapons. You also resupply 50% faster. Like with Born Ready, the reload effect does not impact guns without magazines. This perk can be very helpful during tense fights or hectic situations. The extra healing means you can stay higher health, while also healing you to full or almost full after getting downed. This effect gets more value the more resupplies you use. Consider taking it on missions you know will be very long. Second Wind. After a few seconds of sprinting, you sprint even faster. This perk requires you to stay in the sprinting state continuously for the effect to begin. If you are stopped by terrain but still sprinting and holding forward, Second Wind will still stay in effect. Any interaction that would break sprint will make you lose the effect, such as firing a weapon, pinging, or looking at the map. Actions like jumping and reloading will not break sprint. This perk is helpful for mining missions that have long spiraling tunnels between caves. It can also be useful while extracting to reach the drop pod quickly, though often you may outrun the mule and be forced to wait even when not using second wind. Another good use is during missions with the low oxygen modifier, since you will spend a great deal of time running between sources of O2. Moving on, we have Strong Arm. Throw flares and objects further than normal. The flare component can be useful if you are playing without a scout or to light up ceilings while you're going off on your own. Egg hunt and point extraction missions may benefit from the perk, as you will be able to throw eggs and acorns further. Sweet Tooth. Additional healing from red sugar, as well as a moderate speed buff when the red sugar is collected. Red sugar cannot be collected at full health, meaning you must be previously damaged to receive the speed buff. Sweet Tooth does not increase the heal from resupplies or the perk Vampire. Sometimes red sugar spawns on the map in limited supply. This perk will help make the most out of what you have, while also sharing health with teammates. The movement speed component is also helpful while running away from enemies at low health. You can smack a node with your pickaxe and gain distance from your pursuers. You may even set up fights around red sugar, knowing that if things get bad, you can pick some up and dash away. Next, Thorns. Whenever you are hit by a melee attack, you deal damage back to the attacker. When fully upgraded, the perk will kill swarmers and shockers after a single attack on any hazard level. Thorns has an internal cooldown, so there is a short delay before it can activate again between attacks. Small enemies can be a hassle on any mission, and they usually attack in large numbers. Thorns can help thin out a swarm of small enemies if you are getting completely surrounded. If you normally combat the small hordes with weapons, using a pickaxe and thorns to weed them out can be a good way to conserve ammo. Unstoppable. Reduce the amount you are slowed by certain effects, and increase your speed while carrying objects. You cannot sprint while carrying objects even with the help of this perk. Unstoppable will allow you to sprint on snow, and it reduces the slows from storms, earthquakes, and webs. This can be helpful on zones with persistent slows like fungus bogs, glacial strata, or maps with occasional weather effects. Currently, the tooltip is incorrect, as the perk does not increase your speed while carrying objects. This will likely be fixed at some point, and I will update the video description when it is. Check there if you want to see if the perk works yet in-game. Next up, Vampire. Recover 5 health when you kill a medium or larger enemy with a melee attack. This does not activate when killing small enemies like swarmers or shockers, or when killing passive creatures such as the silicate harvester or loot bugs. While all the classes have access to 2 types of melee attacks, the standard pickaxe swing and the power attack, the driller has 2 additional sources of melee damage. Both the drills and impact axes will proc vampire heals on a kill. This perk can be a useful source of healing for anyone that likes to get up close and personal with swarms, but is particularly useful when combined with other perks that help boost your melee damage. It should be noted that this provides an additional type of healing outside of red sugar and resupplies, and works very well when paired with Iron Will. Healing from Vampire while in Iron Will ensure that when the active buff ends, you will not immediately go down again. Lastly, Veteran Depositor. Deposit minerals more quickly, and when you are close to the mule or minehead, you receive a buff that increases your defense. This is similar to the damage reduction from elemental insulation, but extends to all types of damage. The range on the buff is very short, requiring you to be very close to the source to receive the benefits during a fight. When the mule docks in the drop pod at the end of salvage missions, you can still get the buff, though usually it is too far to effectively use during the uplink or refueling events. This perk is useful in missions where you are depositing often, such as max-length mining missions or Gold Rush and Mineral Mania modifiers. The defensive aspect can be used in missions where you will spend a lot of time near the mule, like with low oxygen, or tactically in lethal enemies to mitigate incoming damage. This wraps up everything for passive perks. If you have more tips to add about using passives, let me know. This video is continuing my guide on perks in Deep Rock Galactic. The following video will be the same as this, but with active perks. If you want a more serious explanation on It's a Bug Thing, I put it in the description, along with any changes from patches. Thanks for watching.